I had worked very closely with the director of photography. We were very interested in making sure that although we were shooting in color and we were going to take the black and white out, that the lighting would support the finished look in black and white. We just got to do something completely different. The camera angles we were doing, taking a camera up over a ceiling fan for a shot. Everybody involved had a great time with it. Everyone in the period costumes, all the cars, and then just the campiness of what it was that we were doing, and they completely embraced it and had a ball.
Miley? No, don't!
The Witch's Tale, this was a key moment in History of Charm because we were moving to Sunday night, and we knew we had to come out with a splash. So from the studio on down, we were going to do everything we could to make this the best possible episode.
2 weeks before I think we start shooting it, Holly calls me up. She said, the script is great. I think it's terrific. I'm really excited about the 5th season. I think you're gonna have a little trouble with Alyssa, though, because I don't know if you know this, but she is deathly afraid of the water.
Will someone please get me back to the ocean before I suffocate? I need the water.
You want water? I'll get you some water.
5 days before shooting, script comes out. We get a call from Melissa saying, there's something you need to know. I'm deathly afraid of the water, and I won't go in the ocean.
You are holding me hostage.
Yep, looks like it.
Look, I am not a common goldfish. I cannot ignore the call of the sea.
Well, the call of the common bathtub is just gonna have to do.
It was such a great script, and it was gonna be such a great episode, but Alyssa wasn't going to do it. She did it, but mostly it was a combination of her, doing more than she was comfortable doing, and us shooting it in such a way, both with a double and just with some very clever camera angles.
She agreed to go into the water up to her waist, and we used stunt doubles for everything else. We had a tank on stage where the cavern was. Whenever she was in that water, we had a stunt person in there for safety. We met with people who had done mermaids before. We looked at a lot of film. We picked a guy who supplied the tail. Now we had to design what the top was going to look like. And a lot of that had to go with how much Alyssa was willing to bear. It was all bare chest, except she had a little bit of mermaid stuff right over her breasts and nipples. In fact, when the network first saw it, they were shocked at how revealing she was allowing it to be. And she was fantastic. She loved making people laugh, and she loved getting into the costumes, so she was fantastic with that part of it.
Okay, all I need are my sea friends and little shiny objects and to lay on a rock and comb out my hair.
So to do a mermaid episode with a woman who is deathly afraid of the water and pull that off, I think was probably one of the most magical things we did.
Excalibur!
In Sword in the City, we had a gaggle of magical creatures.
Back of the line, please. Hoof it, sister!
Chris! Chris! Get down here.
We had 20 little magical creatures in one little room, and it was quite amusing, big to little.
Wow.
There's a moment where Piper's in doing some potions, and Danny comes in to grab her.
Hey, lady, we could really use an authority figure out there.
A bunch of the stuff that's in that sequence, he just threw out. I mean, the guy was amazing. It was so wonderful to watch him do his thing.
What is this?
Natural selection. Naturally, I hope the sword selects me to be king. Finally get a little respect around here.
Well, one of my favorite episodes was Happily Ever After because I got to do 3 completely different fairy tales and shoot them in 3 completely different styles.
I'll split the witches up and make sure that none of them lives happily ever after.
That was a great deal of fun, and it was funny because the girls really embraced their 3 storylines as well. The ballroom scene in Happily Ever After with Sean Patrick Flannery, and we had a beautiful set that Paul Staley had designed, and we had a big crane, and we were able to do all sorts of interesting shots. That was a particularly satisfying day for everyone concerned, I think. It was just a lot of fun, and Alyssa was just great in the part.
Paige!
I really liked Paige from the Past because it was the first year with Rose, and it was the first time that we did something with Rose that was different. We put her in braces, made her be a teenager.
I'm all right. I'm all wrong. Oh my God, I saw Scrooge. I'm supposed to come back as a ghost, not a Ghost with braces?
And she did that transition very well, where she could pretend to be a teenager, but she was still herself.
Can't believe I remember the combination. I used to live out of this locker.
And she had a scene when she's describing what happened to her parents to the other girls. And it was her first really heavy dramatic scene, and she was having a little trouble with it. And the second take, not great, but okay. So I said, okay, we have it. I'd like to do one more, but you do have it in the bank, so don't worry about it. And now that she thought she had it, because we told her she had it, then she let it go, and it was great.
You didn't see the car that swerved into our lane? The next thing I know, I'm on the pavement. The car's on fire.
I love Rose. I love the fact that she came in a difficult situation and found a way to fit in very quickly with the crew. Bite Me was an episode in which really centered around her becoming a vampiress. I asked her to do things like hang upside down from a trapeze at a certain point, and things that other people were concerned that she wouldn't do, and she absolutely did them. She became a very integral and important part of the show, as is evidenced by the fact that she was there for 5 seasons.
In Scry Hard, there's a dollhouse, an exact replica of the manor, and we had to create a real dollhouse that looked like the manor, and then Leo and Piper are shrunk down by Wyatt and trapped inside of the manor because they're fighting and he gets mad at them. So we had to basically build a little house. That was actually really, really cool. It's amazing we got it done because we'd only have 8 days to prep. And then we were shooting, so we found out as soon as we could. The production team started building it, and by the time we were shooting, thank God we had it. So for me, that was one of the biggest challenges, was to sell the fact that they were in a really small dollhouse and not in the real manor, and shooting it from different angles that gave us the feeling that this was a small house and that they were small, because we were intercutting with other scenes where people were full size in the real manor walking around this dollhouse. So that was a challenge, but I think we pulled it off pretty well.
I think that the Blair Witch Project was one of the more challenging episodes and one of the more satisfying episodes. I remember getting the script on that and thinking, how are we going to pull this off in 8 days? Because it is so massive. There were so many effects in that show.
Who the hell are you?
I've had it with you and your stupid ideas.
Ready to summon?
Yep, all ready to go.
We had partial nudity with Kristen.
What's wrong? If you would just listen to me.
Oh, wow! That's just a lot.
It is apparently still the only way I can get anybody to listen to me.
Woman, keep your clothes on. This is a family show.
Working with Kristen on Blair Witch Project was a great coup both for the show and for me, because she was very daring and a trooper, and she's such a wonderful actor and so incredibly pretty. It was just a pleasure to work with her.
Finally, I'm free.
Yes, you are.
All right, let's 86, that kind of talk now, people. We will not give up on love. Repeat, not give up on love. Love is everything. It's the only thing. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here.
The interesting thing about doing the 7-Year Witch, which was the 175th episode, was a bringing together of cast from the past that obviously were very successful in their own right after the fact, and trying to get everybody onto the set at the same time basically proved impossible. There was a long sequence where Holly was unconscious on the sofa, and everybody was there, but we never had everybody there at the same time. There were literally 3 different days that we shot those scenes with different people. So Julian, who was over on one side talking to Holly, was on one day.
What beauty. She doth teach the torches to burn bright.
And what was going on the sofa was another day. And when Billy Zane made his entrance from the stairs, was a 3rd day. So we never had everybody there at the same time, but had to create scenes where everybody was talking to each other.
Look, we know you have Leo. Bring him down here now.
The whole episode of The 7-Year Witch is about Brian being put in a position of making a choice, but making a choice without the knowledge of what the ramifications of those choices are. And ultimately, his choice to jump off that bridge, he doesn't know that that's going to get him back to Holly, but he knows it's what his choice is to choose that over staying where he was.
No elder has ever done that before.
You take away my family and I will.
This is about you making a choice.
That is the dilemma, and that is the crossroads that he faces. There's a shot where the girls catch up with him. We did a high shot over the truck as it stopped. It was right at a crossroads, and then he's told, this is where you have to decide what to do.
You need to make a choice. Every man does.
I know.
And it's not directly referenced to the fact that it is a crossroads, but it's in there.
If you're going to be on a series for many, many years, it can get pretty darn boring if they're doing the same thing every week. Well, that was never the case on Charmed. Every week it was completely different, whether it would be bats or vampires and the warlocks. It was never the same. So each week you had the arc with the girls' dramatic lives, which was fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
On top of that, you mix in the demons and the warlocks and the fireballs, and you have a nice stew of fun.
Welcome to Optic Nerve, where I always have my makeup done. Come with me.
Today we're going to be starting out showing you the process of what it takes from beginning to end for a prosthetic makeup. From life cast through molding, casting, foam running, and application.
We start by bringing in the performer and we take a life cast of their face and alginate, which is an impression material that's basically dehydrated seaweed. And it's a powder to which we add water. And then we apply this to the face. You have about 5 minutes before it sets up to like a soft, rubbery consistency, leaving the nose holes for breathing. And then once the alginate is set, you'll have a perfect impression on the inside. We make a support shell out of plaster bandages, very similar to what you get on your arm if you went to the hospital, because the impression material is so soft that it'll tear when we're taking it off. Once the shell is finished, it's another 5 to 10 minutes.
You know, lean forward. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna gently move it, and you can start pulling your face out. Welcome back to the land of the living.
Right.
All right. Look, there you are. There he is. At this point, we've got the cast, we've got the copy of the actor, so he's going on his way, and now we're going to make his positive copy. We're going to be using plaster to do this part. We brush in a thin layer. We're trying to get all the detail, all the pores, all the wrinkles, just anything that was actually on the face, so it's as accurate as possible. You have to work the stone in steps. Little by little, it sets up. It gets thicker and thicker. You can't rush it. It just goes at its own pace. Now we'll let this set. Once it completely heats up and hardens, and we'll pop it out. Our plaster is set up now, so we're going to demold it and see what he looks like. There he is. It's just like him. Got all the pores, all the detail. Then we just go in, clean up his eyebrows, clean up the little bits here and there, start sculpting. Now that we've gotten the head cast done, we've got an actual stone copy of the actor's face. This is when we sculpt in clay what our creature's actually going to look like.
On that stone cast, we'll then sculpt whatever the design is once it's approved by production, which is usually a process of submitting sketches and having them look over, make changes. And once they've settled on a look, we'll take that look and turn it into a three-dimensional piece by using clay to sculpt on top of the life cast so that the sculpture is sitting on a replica of the performer's face.
This is one of the more time-consuming parts of all of this because you just add in clay. You start in by roughing in all of your muscle groups and all of your features. You end up with the form, which is what we have at this point. We haven't really done any detail, any wrinkle lines, any character lines, or pore texture. It's just a matter of adding clay and looking at it. So you can see here, we've just started roughing in some pieces. We've got some bone, a lot of musculature. This is the actor's head cast. This is the one that was actually for this makeup here. This is the actor's likeness. We would have done the clay sculpture, and when we make the mold, this is a negative version.
This material, foam latex, which is a type of latex that you add several different elements to, and you sort of whip it with a mixer so that it's sort of whipped creamy in consistency. That's placed into the mold, and the mold is placed back over the performer's face.
You gently put it in the mold, make sure you don't get any bubbles, move it all around. Then, when you put them together, like so, you wait for it to gel, and then off to the ovens. All right, 3 hours have passed. So we've baked our foam latex at about 180 degrees for 3 hours. So we're gonna see if everything came out okay. Let's hope it did. The powder keeps it from wanting to stick to itself and keeps our edges nice and thin. Hey, look at that. There we have it, a good run. This is a piece that'll actually be glued to the actor's face. The only thing left to do now is a little bit of patching and a little bit of painting. At this point, we've got the foam latex appliance, and what we're gonna do is pre-paint it. This will save time on application. We're just gonna base it out, starting with kind of a pink color, and I'll end up building up several layers over this whole thing, and then doing some airbrushing, which will eventually become the finished piece. Well, we're gonna get started now. We're gonna put the cowl over, we're gonna slip it over, and just kind of shake it down. You feel it fall into place. So if it's catching your ears or anything, just let us know.
The glue that we're using is called Pros-Aid. It's an acrylic emulsion adhesive, which has the dual benefit of being very tenacious. It holds the piece down really well, but it's also very easy to clean up with the right remover, non-allergenic. It depends on how long the performer's going to be in the makeup, the way that we use the glue. So if you're going to have someone in this all day, and they're going to be sweating for 12 hours, and you have to cover the entire surface area of the piece and their entire face, and you can dry each of them independently, and then once they make contact, it's on there, and so you take it off. Next, we'll move on now to fitting the facial prosthetic. We'll start just by anchoring the nose so that we have the piece on there and centered, and then we'll work stretching the piece from a center point out to get everything even. Right now we're just taking colors that have already been introduced into the design with the pre-paint, and we're matching them with makeup colors and blending the edges together. So really stipply coloring so that it sort of camouflages any edge that's still there.
You've got to look at it under the lighting and you decide what kind of sheen you want it to have, whether you want it to look very natural or if you want it to have more of like a
greasy, icky look to it. Right now what I'm doing is just putting a little lubricating jelly on there. And what it does is it takes up a lot of the powder that's on there. Just gives it a little bit of a natural sheen. Looks a little intense right now. Give that a